Now, the same day as Bryce is in New York, his partner's train arrived in New Mexico. But the train doesn't go to Taos. The nearest depot is about 25 miles away, and they have to take a stagecoach from the depot to Taos. And along the way, they decide to change their names. Mo becomes Morgan Silver, and Julius becomes Jack Diamond. "We better write Bryce and tell him as soon as we get to Taos," Morgan said. "Right," Jack said. "If we're going to make these names stick, we can't have him sending telegrams to Julius and Mordecai." "I'll do it now." The driver said he does the mail run. He could take our letter back with the outgoing mail from Taos. Morgan pulled out a small pad and pencil he kept in his pocket for making quick sketches. He started the letter 3 times and then put the pad away. "I can't write anything the way this coach is jerking." "Do it when we get to Taos," Jack said. "There'll be plenty of time enough while the driver waters his horses. Tell Bryce not to spread it around the city, though. No reason for certain mix back home to know what we're called out here." I hadn't thought of that. But you've got a point. Bryce is supposed to take care of that situation before he comes, but if he screws up, as he is wont to do. "Jesus, it's hot in here," Jack said. "Hold my hat." Jack tossed his bowler onto the seat next to Morgan and threw the door open. Morgan braced himself tighter. The ground raced past and clouds of dust from the horses poured in. "Julius, have you lost leave of your senses?" Julius may have, but Jack's betting it's cooler up top with the driver. In a heartbeat, Jack was leaning backward out the door, put his foot in the window opening. "Jack, you're crazy. You'll kill yourself." Jack levered his weight onto the coach window and pulled himself up in one swift move. And then Morgan was alone in the coach with the door flapping. "Well, I'll be." Jack leaned over the edge and hung upside down, grinning like a fool. "Come on, it's cooler up here." Well, he came west to enjoy a new life. Morgan doffed his hat and put it on the seat next to Jack's. He peered out the door at certain death rushing by, then decided to embrace it. Morgan turned around and leaned out backwards. He struggled to lift his leg high enough to slip his boot into the window frame as Jack had done, but he was shorter than Jack and couldn't reach. He put one foot on the coach seat, which got him a little higher, but it put him too far from the door. He was practically lying horizontal, and that wouldn't work. A smart New Yorker like him should be able to solve this problem. He held onto the door frame with one hand and reached overhead with the other. He found the iron railing that ran around the edge of the coach roof and grabbed a hold. He took a deep breath, let go of the doorway, and got his other hand on the railing too. He tried to pull himself up by doing a chin-up, but all he succeeded in doing was losing his foothold. Great. Now what? He hung by both arms, flopping against the bouncing coach like a sack of meal. Jack reached over and grabbed his collar and pulled him up. The driver took his eyes off the team and turned around. "You city fellas plan on dying young? Why didn't you just holler? I'd have stopped the coach and you could have climbed up top like regular folk." Jack laughed at the driver and pulled out his silver flask. He unscrewed the top, drank deep, and handed it to Morgan, who took a long pull. Jack winked at Morgan. "Yeah, but his way we wouldn't have had a story to tell Bryce." Morgan grinned. "You know how Bryce would tell it. He'd have pulled himself up with one hand while shooting some Spaniards." That cracked Jack up. "Yep, and Teddy Roosevelt would have been riding in the coach egging him on." "Don't worry," Morgan said. "I'm sure we'll have plenty more adventures before Bryce gets here." "Taos," the driver said as he pulled to a stop in front of a row of adobe buildings. Morgan had been observing the architectural styles as they drove into town. Some adobe, others apparently wooden throughout. "Well, it's certainly nothing like New York City. Not even like New Jersey." Jack leaped from the top of the coach in a single bound. "I wonder if they have beer here." Morgan and the driver climbed down. "Are you joking?" the driver said. "There's a saloon every 50 feet. Jack, we ought to find a place to stay first. We can drink later. Mister, do you know of somewhere we can room? The Columbian Hotel's right across the plaza. I run a roulette wheel there in the bar there. After you get your room, come down and give it a spin. Now, we're planning on living here. Do you know where we'd find a boarding house?" Dunn pointed to a gap between the stores a few buildings down. "There's a widow woman who runs a rooming house on that back street over there if she's not filled up." "What about our crates?" "No problem. I'll hold them for you in the freight office till you get settled." "That'd be great," Jack said. "Store everything but the suitcases. We'll take those with us." While their trunks and crates were unloaded and locked up, Morgan wrote a letter to Bryce and gave it to Dunn along with 2 cents for a stamp. Then, carrying their suitcases, they crossed the road and passed through a narrow, dusty alley to an equally dusty back street and located a large two-story wood-framed house with two pretty young women sitting on the porch swing. They looked to be in their teens, but maybe late teens, judging by their enormous bosoms. Once he was able to raise his gaze, Morgan found that both girls had brown hair and brown eyes. The older one wore her hair in long, coiled curls that hung over her pretty pink ears. The younger had a mass of soft, wavy hair tied back with a blue velvet ribbon. Jack gave them a rakish smile. "Is this the place where two handsome gentlemen from back east might find accommodation?" "Gentlemen," said the elder, "you look like a couple of coal miners dressed for church." "It was a long train ride from St. Louis," Jack said. "St. Louis," the younger one nearly squealed. Deep dimples appeared when she smiled. The older sister's manner softened. "As it happens, we do have a vacant room." She stood and stepped to the edge of the porch, making a quarter turn to show him her generous figure and profile. It was an inspiring sight. "My name is Peaches, pleased to make your acquaintance." "Cherry, go tell Mother we have callers." "Cherry? Really?" The girl pushed back on the swing and let its forward motion propel her as she leaped out and dashed to the door. The screen door swung open before she reached it, and there stood Mama, an older version of her amply endowed daughters, somewhat fuller in most places, but still fine-figured. Her face, however, had narrow eyes and a sternly pinched mouth that put something of a damper on the prevailing mood. Jack doffed his hat. "Ma'am?" Morgan took his off too. "We're looking for accommodation, and your place came highly recommended." "Is that so? What are your names?" "I'm Morgan Silver, and this is Jack Diamond." "What kind of names are those? You're not gamblers, are you?" Uh-oh. He'd chosen a new name without considering what people might infer from it. Well, too late now. Morgan smoothed the brim of his bowler. "Not at all, ma'am. We're New Yorkers come to Taos to open an emporium, and we'd like to stay with you while we grow our store into a going concern." Her eyes appraised them from haircut to footwear. "All right, come in. I'll show you what I got. I'm Mrs. Romero." Jack held the door for her, and for the first time she smiled. Morgan smiled too. Jack could charm the severity off a nun. Morgan followed Mrs. Romero inside. Peaches and Cherry slipped in after him, giggling at Jack as they passed him. Jack came in last and let the door smack shut. Mrs. Romero whirled around. "Don't let it slam." Yes, ma'am." She led Morgan upstairs to an immaculately kept room with an oak dresser and a double bed. On the dresser was a lovely white basin trimmed in pink roses with a matching water pitcher. A clean porcelain chamber pot set in the corner. He stayed in less salubrious places in New York. "Very nice," Morgan said. $5 a week. That includes breakfast and supper. You're on your own for lunch." Jack and the girls crowded in behind them. Morgan glanced at Jack, who gave a quick nod. A shiver of excitement emanated from the girls. "This will do nicely," Morgan said. "Let's see Jack's." Mrs. Romero frowned. "This is the only room I've got." "It's only got one bed," Jack said. "Mo and I don't sleep together." "Mo," Peaches said. "He means me," Morgan said. "Can I call you Mo?" Cherry asked. "Please don't. Call me Morgan."